Figured out you got all right here. Welcome to Win the Day podcast, where we talk about how to win the day, right? Who knew? The name says it all. Any rate, so let's talk about it. Let's get right into it, how to win the day. And I'm going to start right here. I'm going to start with learning is hard. Golly, if it isn't hard. And it's frustrating, it's maddening, it's all that stuff. But you know what? It's absolutely necessary. You have to, because we were talking before we came on. You don't go backwards. You don't, or you go backwards. You don't stay where you're at. You're either moving forward or you're going backwards. And that's just a fact of life. Maybe that's a fact you embrace, or maybe that's a fact you don't like. Because I can tell you this, you don't max out. You don't get to a spot and that's it. You've made it. Hallelujah. Congratulations. Doesn't work that way. Life changes. It evolves. And you either evolve with it, ahead of it, or you fade. Okay. And that's just the way it is. And the reason why I bring it up is social media. I believe in my heart of hearts that social media is the future for real estate sales. In the past, we used to put ads in magazines and newspapers. We used to put our faces on bus benches and billboards. We used to bake cookies and do open houses and things like that. And we still do a little of that today. But the primary source of getting information, of getting your brand, your name, your anything out is via social media these days. And that's going to get to be more and more and more. And that's good news. And it's scary as crap for a lot of people because it requires platforms. It requires some equipment. It requires some different kind of thinking, and it requires learning.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going through that. And right now, social media, at least in my view, is still wide open. There aren't any, or maybe very few people who have cracked codes. My daughter's an influencer. She makes a very good living putting out social media. But if I ask her how to do it, it's probably like asking Paul McCartney how to write a hit song. Oh yeah, you just do it. Okay, cool. And then I write something. It's like, okay, not good. But that's kind of the way it is social media, right? In real estate, you can hire a coach. I hired the best coaches I could hire back when I started, and it paid off. Now I got 20 years of taking what they taught, and they were shortcuts, and they got me to a certain level, which was super cool. I looked at brand building. I looked at social media coaches and whatnot. We're too new. The people who are winning, I think, are winning because of accidents. They'll tell you it's not that, yeah, you can just do this, this, and this. Not true. Not true. You can't just, there's not a formula. You put out this much content and it yields this much. It's got to be good. I don't know the time. There's a lot.
I think the key is consistency.
But like a life, right? But yeah. I do know this. If you're not doing it, if you're just going to go, meh, 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 that's not evolving. That's going backwards. The world's going to pass you by. But here's the exciting thing. Here's a really exciting thing, at least for me. It's wide open. To get to the front of the line, you only have to pass like one or two people. You don't even have to be at the front of the line to win. You just need to be in line. And right now, there's not a lot of folks in line. So you can grab up mindshare real estate pretty quick. You can build your brand pretty quick using social media. You just got to figure it out a little bit. But it's hard. It's frustrating. But I want you to know this. Let's see. I wrote something down. Learning's hard, but it's worth it. Here's my question. How are you going to win the day, right? What should you do to learn something today that'll make you smarter, better, maybe wealthier? Think about it. Write it down. And then here's the hard part. Do it, right? Studying, researching, analyzing without doing is, I don't know, don't even waste your time. So when you come on here and you listen to what we talk about, do the stuff we say. Now, is it going to work? I don't know. With the social media stuff, I'll give you what I got. With the sales stuff, I've got 1,500 transactions, $700 million in sales. I know it works. Okay. I know it works over time. I don't know if it's going to work tonight, but it works over time. Okay. So go with that. I've been taught by the best. All right. I didn't make this crap up. I've been taught by the best. I practice on other agents. I practice on our clients. I practice on vendors. It works. It has worked. It will work. It works. So what we talk about here works. Social media, I believe, is going to work. We're going to learn this together. How fun is that? So there you go. Mark, you got any ideas on this?
You know, one of the things that I've seen, and I'm not an expert, but I am listening to experts, is the key is continuity. That you want to be who you are at all times consistently throughout the different platforms. And there are those that are thinking, well, I'm just going to be on one platform. And I don't think you can be that. I think you've got to have your primary place, but repurpose it on other places so that you're always present everywhere. And that's Dan Fleischman, a guy who would work with the Kardashians. He's just said, pick your main, but repurpose out everywhere because you want to be omnipresent and be consistent.
Let me talk to that for a second.
Yeah.
I write a lot. I put a lot of stuff out. I do a lot of stuff. And people ask me, do you use AI? And I do. I use AI to proof things and I use it as a tool. I don't use it as the thing.
The creator.
All right. There's more to it than that. And the analogy I'd give you is if you use AI instead of you, right? If you're augmenting AI, that is a letter sent to resident or current occupant. It sucks and it ends up in the garbage most likely. Mm-hmm. Use AI to augment or supplement you. All right. Two different things. Don't get lazy and think AI is going to play your instrument. It's not. Mm-hmm. It might give you some auto tune or help you in places, but don't substitute one for the other. And going back to what Mark said, what I would encourage you to do, not only in social media, but in your whole efforts, is find your voice. Who are you? Right. And then use these social media platforms and AI and whatever to tell your story of your voice and who you are. Does that make sense? Well, Destiny, or
go ahead.
Because Destiny's doing it. She's a newbie in real estate. I mean, relatively, and she embraced social media from my perspective right off the bat. Is that fair to say?
Very fair.
So what is your experience so far?
My experience yesterday, I got to share with Mark's group that it took me about a year to almost rebrand how people saw me on social media. I was doing home childcare, for almost 8 years before I got into real estate. And so it was building that new image. I'm a realtor. I'm not a childcare provider anymore. And I'm just now getting to a place where people see me on social media as a realtor, and business is starting to come through my social media page. I think
is that an evolution for you too, though?
Mm-hmm. It has been.
I can see it in your social media. You went from here and now you're over here, and that's on purpose, right?
Right, for sure. It's maturity. It's saying, I need to put out a different message and a different image. But I will say, you said something earlier, make sure you're consistent on all your platforms, even on your personal page. That can't be someone completely different from you as a realtor or you as whatever else that you're trying to represent. You have to show that same image and that same brand across all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, personal Facebook, business Facebook, all of them.
So I love it. I love it. And I can see your stuff evolving, and it looks like it's moving in a direction, which is really super cool. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you a quick story. Last night, I ran into a guy I know. All right? I haven't seen him. And, if you press me, I'd take a guess, but it's been a long while, more than a year in person. And I saw him, and I'm like, his name's Rob. I'm like, hey, Rob, how you doing, man? Haven't seen you in forever. How are you? He says, I'm doing great. I feel like I know you. I see you every day on my phone. And I thought, son of a gun.
Yep.
Right? It's working. I have mind share in his head through my efforts. Right? I literally had not thought about him until I saw him. Right? And then it's like, oh, shoot, I haven't seen you in a while. And he said, you know what? I haven't seen you either, but I think of you every day because there you are. So it works. Julie, tell us your experience. You've been around this a long time. You started in magazines and in newspapers.
I started in print media in Chicago, selling advertising and just in that area. And I can tell you, nothing is the same. Everything's different. And coming back to your you're learning, or you're not staying in one place. You can't rely on what you know. Yes, there's some basics that go across all platforms, but you can't rely on what you know and expect that you're staying with what's current and relevant, because print media, TV, yes, they're all still around, but they're losing market share and they're not as relevant. And it's not where everybody goes. We used to be able to have conversations and everybody was kind of on the same page about what was going on, because we were watching 1, 2, 3, 4 sources of information, and there was some legitimacy, we could argue that, to who was talking, and versus it was always opinion. Now everybody kind of knows that it's opinion and perspective of the person talking. So I think a lot of people take that into perspective, but we're not getting all our information from the same source. And back to the learning thing, either you're moving forward, you're moving backward, but you're not staying the same.
Awesome. Love it. Amanda says, yes, make everything personal. Send those PMs. Those are messages in handwritten birthday, Christmas. That's old school, right? The handwritten stuff, but send the direct messages too. Couldn't agree more with that. Very cool. Here's something I'm gonna put out there that I'm working very hard on, and I would recommend you do too. All right, you want to find your voice, who you are, what your thing is, and then you're gonna have to figure out how to tell your story in a short, concise way. How do you eat an elephant? You don't need an encyclopedia to describe how to get an elephant, harvest it and cook it or whatever. You got to tell the story in short bites. And if you make it good, they'll want the second part and the third and the 50th and the 290th. So if you can figure out a way to tell your story in quick hits such that it builds your brand, that you're someone that they should know, they should like, and they should trust, you will win.
Yeah, John, I was talking to a guy that does a lot of affiliate marketing, and he says, I focus on 7 to 15 second posts. And he says, that's where I get my greatest response. And it's like,
interesting.
Whoa.
If you ever try to say something in 15 seconds, hard.
It is. It is. I put one out yesterday, 14 seconds, and you've got to really define it down. And it's conversation starters. But here's the funny thing. My views were up because it's short.
Very good. Here's something interesting on that. I don't know if this is true. I got to play it out. Short videos are good for getting likes and views, but long form video is where you convince.
Yes.
Is what I'm told. Now, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I've kind of taken on the attitude where I'm going to make strings of videos that kind of coincide with one another. I'm going to tell a short story followed by another short story that supports the first short story, that when like puzzle pieces at some point in the future, the puzzle fills in with these short pieces. Again, this is very important. If you understand who you are and your voice, you can tell that story fairly easy, and you can go to AI to help you with your voice and your story. But if you don't know it, if you're using an AI or you're groping, it's going to come across as, dear occupant, I'm a bad storyteller, and you can get that result.
Everybody has a short attention span now. So if you're not getting their attention right away and keeping it, they're just, on to the next.
But here's the thing, they're willing to give it to you if it's worth it.
Right. You have to keep their attention. I kind of think of, what's coming to mind is binge watching something. Like I remember watching Breaking Bad, and it's like at the end of every episode, I was like, oh, one more. Oh, one more. Oh, one more.
And then you're disappointed if it's done right when it ends.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's it. There's no more. I want more.
Yeah. Breaking Bad didn't.
Better call Saul.
Yeah. I'm not mad that it ended. I guess I'm sad that there's not more, because I want, because it's so good. Keep going, please.
John,
and that's kind of like I think of social media. When I'm watching social media, I'm very quickly bored if somebody's just talking slowly and giving, not just, and I hate to say it because we've all got this shortened attention span. We used to be more patient, and now it's like boring next, and no one knows, so it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Mark?
Well, the MREA says that we should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. And this is where we still got to be prospecting based, but social media enhanced. Those messages feed back and forth. And if you can win, I believe, prospecting based. You can win if you're all focused. Well, let me say this. I think it's harder, and I see this with a lot of gens. What's the most recent? The 20 somethings. They think I can just be a TikTok star and people will throw real estate deals at me. And I don't think that you can. There will be a few that will break through, but the vast majority are going to have to combine those two. Like Amanda said, those handwritten notes, those conversations, being authentic and backing everything up with that message where when they bump into us in the store, they say, I see you every day.
Mm-hmm.
But there has to be value, because if there's not value, you're not going to keep them. So
you can swipe fast.
Yeah.
Boring.
There's got to be value. And, sometimes it's better and sometimes it's worse. But, especially with something like real estate, it's a very in-depth thing. And there's a lot to be learned. And there's a lot of expertise and professionalism that is gained over time and volume. And you don't gain it by watching other videos and being a parrot. So, it's a combination of things, I would say, especially with social media. You can't just do it by being present. There has to be value.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So to break it down, a little synopsis here, I would tell you, always do your lead gen for sure. Right. I mean, that's number 1 through 9. And then figure out who you are, figure out what your voice is going to be. All right. And we talk about that a lot. This is your brand. This is your everything. It's the moat you're going to build around your identity. You got to figure out who. I use myself as an example. I'm the vacation rental guy, right? I help people build their wealth using vacation rentals. That's my whole. I study it. I learn it. I live it. I talk about it. You'll never hear me talking about PCS. I think that's what, right? I don't do that. That's not you'll never hear me talk about first time home. It's not my thing. You can ask me about it. I'll listen. I'll give you what I got. But my thing is vacation rental properties for building wealth. Okay. That's my voice. That's my everything. You got to figure out what yours is. And I tell you, it took me a long time to get there to figure it out because I wasn't looking for it. But I'm telling you, look for it. Nobody told me to look for it. I had to bump into a bunch of stuff. Look for it. Okay. So, and then once you figure that out, start your story. Start telling your story. I'll give you an example. I bought my first condo. It was a complete rehab. We fixed it up. We put some money into it, but it was Gulf front. I knew it would be good. Now we earn $80,000 a year in passive income through rentals, and it's almost tripled in value. That's a win. All right. And it was so good. We bought a handful more. We got more of them. All right. And now we have a property management company, over 100 properties. We got all this going on. God, it's such a good story. It's made me millions of dollars. If you want to learn how to do that, sign up for my email newsletter. We talk about how to do that, right? Or get my investor criteria form. It'll help you get started. Let's go, right? Okay, so that's who I am. There's there's a give. I'm teaching, I'm educating. First thing you got to do is inspire. Then you can educate, inform, teach, entertain. Does that make sense? So figure out what your story is, your voice, who you are, and then start telling it. And I think what I would do is I'd pick one form. What I do is I use like a newsletter form. It's so I can write a longer story about a specific thing every week. And then I can pull out parts that'll go to TikTok, that'll go to Twitter, that'll go to LinkedIn, that will go to YouTube, that'll go to Facebook. All right. All from that one main thing. Does that make sense? So, Mark, any last words on this?
No, I think you nailed it. Get in there and get in the game.
It's important. Destiny?
I'd just say be consistent and show everybody that you're working.
Okay, I like that. How about you, Julie?
Be you and deliver value. You know, people are always looking for value. We're drowning in information. Everybody's drowning in it, but they're really looking for the value in the detail. Love it. Love it. Let's see. Amanda's got some things on here she wants to say. Agreed on the short-term attention span. What are you saying? The cover of my reels, I don't even know what reels are, but I like it, are sometimes of puppies, beaches, etc. Oh my God. I could write deep, insightful meaning. I mean, from the heart and get nothing. Put a picture of a cat on there. Thousands. Crazy. I've had many listings from social media. Oh, good for you. We might have to have you on here to talk about this. Good job. 4 listings recently from PM asking how they are based on their post. Oh, I know. You know what? There's a realtor in our group, not our group, but in our market center, who does really well with reaching out to people based on what they're saying online. Very good. John says, be authentic. Can't agree more with that. Very good. All right. There you go. That's what I got. Let's get back together tomorrow. But guys, don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on it.
It's a good
All right.
one.
Let's go to work. Bye-bye.